Hello. Today I'm going to tell you the story of Jephthah. Jephthah was a judge, and his story is told in Judges 11. I'm going to tell you this story from my heart. I'm not just going to read it from the Bible, so this might be a little bit interesting, but we'll see how it works. So Jephthah was the son of Gilead. He lived in the land of Gilead, but he was an illegitimate son. He was the son of a prostitute. And Gilead's legitimate sons pretty much ran him out of town and said, "You're not going to inherit any of our father's territory or any of his belongings or anything. You're out of here." So he goes off and lives in the land of Tob. Now, some time goes by, and he's demonstrated himself as a fearless warrior and a leader of the people. But his family back in Gilead is all under threat from the Ammonites. So the Ammonites are some pagans who have come to fight the Israelites. So his family comes to get him, and they say, "Come back and help us." And he says, "Why should I come help you? You're the people who ran me off." So he's not really persuaded to come, and they promise to make him a leader of the territory. He says, "How do I know you're going to do this?" And they end up actually making him a leader in advance and effectively elect him judge. So he comes back to Mizpah, and he sends a letter to the Ammonite king. And he asks the Ammonite king, "Why are you trying to take our land?" And he ends up putting together what's considered a traditional letter in this situation, where he explains to the Ammonite king that when we wandered all over the place, we came to this land and we asked for permission to come into this land from the Amorites who had possession of this land. And the Amorites basically said no. And so our God went to war with their God, because this was a battle of the deities, and our God won. And so our God gave us this land, and we've been here for 300 years. So who are you to come along now and try to take this land from us? So there's a threefold argument there. One, it never was your land, Ammonite king. It was the Amorites. And two, our God won this land from your God. If your God had anything to say about it, let him speak. And then three, it's been 300 years, so basically possession is 9/10 of the law, I guess. So the king of Ammon paid no attention whatsoever and went to war and left Jephthah. Jephthah had to go to war with the Ammonite king, so they're going to go do battle. Now, the Spirit of God had come upon Jephthah at this point, and he's going off to war, and he's going to the towns, and he's approaching where the Ammonite warriors are so that he can do battle. And he's all charged up, and for whatever reason, he makes this promise to God, and he says to God, "If you give me victory in these battles, then I will sacrifice to you whatever is the first thing that comes out of my house when I go home after the victory." So he goes to war, they win the war, they kick Ammonite butt, and he comes back home victorious. And who should come out of his front door but his only child, his beloved daughter. She's singing and dancing, and out she comes, and he cries out, tears his clothes, "My daughter, what have you done? This is awful. I've made this vow." And she said, "Well, if you've made the vow, then you have to do what you have to do. But if you would, let me go out into the wilderness and mourn and weep, because I'm going to die childless." So she and her girlfriends go out into the wilderness for 2 months, and they spend all their time out there weeping and mourning, and then they come back, and the Bible says that he fulfills his commitment to sacrifice his daughter. Now, there's a couple of things here in case you're freaking out, because if you've been paying attention to any of the prior stories, you know God frowns mightily on people sacrificing their children. This is not good. So it's not actually likely that she was sacrificed as a burnt offering. It's more likely that she was sacrificed in that she was devoted to God, dedicated to God, not able to marry, not able to have children. So she did die a virgin, but just not right then. It was sometime at natural death, we have to assume. And I should also mention that in Hebrews 11:32, Jephthah is mentioned as one of the men of faith, one of the many men of faith. So it's not likely that he would have done something that has notably always angered God and still be called out as an Old Testament example of a man who demonstrated faith. But he is a great example of don't make rash promises to God. There's no need for that. God's not looking for that. He's looking for our daily obedience and love. So that's all. Hope you like the story. Thanks. Bye.